I'd say this isn't exactly the start of the off season because I'm still kind of reaching my new maintenance weight. So just by eating around 3,000-ish calories, now instead of going from depleted deficit weight, which is like, when I'm super carb depleted, so a bit lighter, now I'm getting up to my more maintenance minor surplus weight. So I want that to level off, and then that will be the baseline start for this off season. Right now, this morning, I got a new little Google Sheets. I'm going to track everything in. 238.4 pounds. So just a few weeks ago, I was 229 pounds, right? So would I say that I've gained 9 pounds of muscle in only 2 weeks? Right? Not exactly. So that's kind of the that water weight carb glycogen fluctuation. So depleted, you're 9 pounds lighter than normal. You haven't lost 9 pounds of body fat, but you are just a bit lighter. So it might not be 9 pounds. It would depend on just how big you are as a person. And then carved up, that's that 9 pounds heavier weight for me. So that doesn't really count, Like that's like weighing yourself on the scale in the summertime and you're only wearing shorts and a shirt versus in the wintertime and you might be wearing jeans, 2 jackets, and boots. Sure, as like a thing, you're heavier, but that weight is just very temporary, So that's not that doesn't count as progress weight. What's really going to count is the change from this new maintenance bulked up weight from now until, the end of this off season when I say, all right, I've had enough. I'm big enough. And not even big enough, but I can't eat any more food to grow. That's going to be far into the future of this year because I'm going to take this off season nice and slow. I'm talking slow cooked, gradual gains for a longer period of time. Main reason being, well, for one, I don't want to get too soft, but also I had pretty solid results doing the same thing for this last prep. It was a longer diet than I've done before, but it was a little bit easier to manage because I gave myself more time, So the main theme of this off season is I want to gain size, not put on too much body fat. And that should be the point of any bulk. Even if you're going to be a little bit dirtier with it and have, some treats or some cereal or some ice cream or some whatever and get post-workout at McDonald's every so often. If you're gaining weight, but you're not putting on too much body fat, well, then you're good, The problem is when we talk about guys who are doing like a perma bulk, even the phrase dirty bulk is kind of, it kind of makes me a little bit curious. Do we mean the food that we're eating to bulk up is dirty, or you're bulking up in a dirty way where you're putting on too much body fat? That would be what I'd call a dirty bulk, But in an off season, or at least in a growing phase, you can have some treats, man, but don't go overboard. If you're eating like pure junk 24/7, I guess maybe it depends on how old you are. I was a bit younger when I was doing my first bigger bulks, so even only a few years time, but I feel like I respond a little better to more plain foods now, and I'm trying not to totally wreck my gut. But yeah, that's the plan. So I'd say within the next 2 weeks or so of tracking that weight change every morning. So same state of being, after the bathroom, before drinking anything, clothesless, or at least wear the exact same clothes every time so that there aren't any variables changing your weight. And then, just write it on a piece of paper and then you can track it later on. Day by day, it's going to fluctuate up and down. But after a few weeks, you're going to start to see a trend. And the scale's your friend, in the sense that the scale will always be honest with you. Your scale is never going to try to screw you over. It's going to tell you exactly what is happening. So if you use it right, and every morning you track your weight at the same time, it always seems kind of weird having a scale in the gym, because unless you're eating like the exact same amount of food at the exact same time, and you're drinking the same amount of water, and you're wearing the exact same clothes, weighing yourself midday doesn't really give you an accurate depiction of what's going on. I could be 10 pounds heavier later today. 10 would be a stretch, but let's say I eat a huge meal, drink a ton of water, and maybe I haven't gone to the bathroom for however many hours, and I have accumulated all the other food that I've eaten. Well, that's not, that's just food weight, right? So that doesn't really correlate. But if you do that for long enough, even just 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks is a good indicator. Let's just say it's a good test sample of time to decide what's happening with your weight. So let's say you're thinking you're bulking up, you weigh yourself every morning for 2 weeks, and sure, day by day there's a little fluctuation, but really it's just a flat line. Well, guess what, man? You just got the answer handed to you. You're not growing. You're not gaining any substantial size. That's not the whole picture. Let's say you're a beginner guy and you're not really eating in a surplus, but you're a beginner. You can most certainly be getting leaner and develop new muscle tissue at the same time. So, that's an instance where the mirror is going to come into play as well. But assuming you've been lifting for a while, newbie gains aren't on, they aren't at play, or you aren't in like a comeback phase. Like the only time where somebody's going to really substantially lose fat and gain muscle at the same time would be maybe this guy's worked out for a while and then he got put out of commission for a year, and then he came back and the muscle memory is still kind of at play. But let's say the scale's flat. Shit, man, that's the answer to your equation. You're not gaining any size. So that's where, of course, look at your training. Are you lifting consistently? Do you even work out? And sometimes that's a legitimate question. I mean, I've seen guys talking in like different videos or comment sections and things, or even just when I'm wasting time scrolling TikTok, I'll tune into different like fitness based like live streams that guys are doing. And I mean, some of these dudes, the way that they're talking is like, yeah, I've kind of had a weird month. I had to take this month off. Like, well, no shit. It's not going to work if you took a month off, right? That's freaking crazy talk. But assuming your training's legit, I think the food is going to be an answer. So start tracking your calories, look at your carbs, look at your proteins. Are you eating enough? I just had a whole kind of rant about that yesterday on the way home from the gym, so I guess there might not be a point in totally repeating all of it. But yeah, oftentimes the food is just going to be an answer. And stepping on the scale is almost your call to action, or not prescription, that wouldn't be the right word, but kind of a little bit of a designation of what needs to change. So if the scale's flat and you think you're dieting, you gotta up your game, man. You gotta cool it. You gotta drop your carbs, increase your cardio. You think you're bulking up, but the scale's flat as well. Well, shit, man, you gotta start grubbing. One calorie dense trick that I'd recommend. I remember doing this in high school. I wasn't even really trying to bulk up at the time. Like, I was trying to get bigger, but when I was a junior and senior in high school, I wasn't doing like a full-on bulk. I was just training, as hard as I can, counting my protein mainly. But every morning, it would start off with just a bagel, a ton of freaking cream cheese, and then I don't know how many slices of like salami or something. But I'd put that in the toaster, give it a little bit of a squish, eat that on the way to school. And I mean, that could easily be, let me try to think of the math. Definitely 50 grams of carbs from the bagel. Certainly the protein from the salami isn't like super protein packed. I think salami is probably like 1-to-1 protein to fats, which is kind of rough depending on what your calorie goals are. But easily probably 30 grams of fats, maybe 15 of protein-ish. But that's more than a couple hundred calories right there. And if you can scarf that down, well, boom. Even just adding that one little kind of a high-density little breakfast sandwich type deal to your day's food intake could push you over the edge from maintenance to surplus. An extra 500 calories a day is very powerful. So if you think you've been a little bit on the the slimmer side. You're not going to do a full crazy bulk, but you want to get a couple more calories into your system. You don't have to go overboard. It doesn't have to be a situation of, slamming 10 mass gainer shakes plus, pounds upon pounds of ground beef. Like, that's not how far you have to take it to see some results. Even just giving a guy an extra 100 grams of carbs per day. Now, that's a consistent extra 100 grams of carbs. Same thing with the scale. Sure, you might feel a little extra strong one day if you have an extra 100 grams of carbs. But if you don't the next week, it's not going to do anything for you, right? It's this constant drip that you have to keep super kind of consistent with. But if you took a guy's actual calorie intake and just somehow throughout the day he gets an extra 100 grams of carbs, maybe it's from a couple packs of oatmeal spliced throughout, maybe the guy just gets, literally just bring a bagel with you. You don't even have to wrap a bagel up in like a bag. I remember just throwing a bagel in my backpack on my way to school, or as I was walking around and just kind of whipping it out. Like it doesn't have to be super kind of complicated. But as long as at the end of the day your accounting makes sense, well, then it's no longer a question of, all right, I want to try this bulking thing. Let's see what happens. It turns into, all right, I did eat my 400 grams of carbs today. I had 80 grams of fats, and I had 200 grams of protein, or whatever your macros may be. Look up a maintenance calorie calculator to get kind of a basic gist of what that should look like. And if you couple that with hard training, plus tracking your weight every morning, I'm not saying you need a super crazy specific log of like morning weight, midday weight, night weight, track all the water and every meal you ate. Like, I'm sure a ton of people have done this before, but I know Milos has old training logs where he's got absolutely everything tracked. I don't know if he tracked his weight multiple times per day, but every meal, every amount of fluids, what the training was that day, exactly how it was done. Like, he knew exactly what the situation was. So, if that's the case, it's going to be a little bit easier to not only make progress, but also make adjustments to continue to make progress, right? If I eat whatever I want, which in a way, or not whatever I want, but if I eat as much as I want right now, which is what my goal is, because I'm just trying to eat right around maintenance. So for me to eat as much as I'm hungry for is about the right kind of calories I'm aiming for. Well, for the next 2 months, probably a month and a half, 2 months, 6 to 8 weeks, I'm gonna make the progress in the gym that I want. I just came off this really steep diet, so now that I've kind of half opened the floodgates of my calorie intake, I'm going to start to grow. I'm going to start to have this post-diet rebound phase. I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get stronger. Sweet. But if I don't manually adjust my calories and eat more food going forward, then what might look like this steady upward trend of, constantly increasing my food, making sure that my weight progress is where I want it to be, right? Progressively overloading my training. If I just eat as much as I want, it's going to turn into this kind of exponential, just, kind of plateau. So as much as right now I'm certainly a happy camper in terms of my diet, because I can actually eat some food again, and I've got room for, right? If I see a snack-sized pack of peanut M&Ms, I'm good. I'm going to count the carbs and fats, but 10 grams of fats, 20 grams of carbs, that counts, man. That adds up towards my day. But if I get, further into basically just adapting to that much food and my metabolism speeds up, well, eating like that won't give me the results that I want. Eating like that will just be enough for me to maintain like a semi-bulked weight, which, depending on what your goals are, could be fine. But I want to freaking grow, right? I want to leverage these next few months, or actually more than a few months, but I want to leverage this time period to really put some size on, without too much body fat. So I got to be on it, right? You got to get your oil changed every so often, which isn't that's not really a good analogy, but I'm just trying to highlight that, the harder you're going with your calories and your macros and actually checking the scale, it's going to turn it from a guessing game into just, a simple task execution kind of situation. So just something to think about. So the fact that right now, yesterday I had 3,400 calories. I think, I don't remember. Actually, yeah, oh no, that's today. If you got a car with Apple CarPlay, you can put a macro tracker on the screen. So I can see what I had for breakfast: 35 grams of protein, 70 of carbs, and 30 of fats from some English muffin and a couple of eggs. Yeah, that's good. But either way, from being carved up yesterday, not insanely carved up, it wasn't like a 1,500 calorie day or a 1,500 gram of carb day, but 400 grams of carbs, 100-ish of fats, 250 grams of protein. Well, I'm feeling fresh. So I'm feeling rather fresh for, I'm not exactly sure, because I can still feel my back a little bit, especially like my mid traps are a little tender, but I still want to do back. I'll just have to see. So between now and set number 1, once I actually get in there and get started, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a feel around and see if I want to do a lat focus back day, or if I want to just pivot, save back for tomorrow, and make today like shoulders and forearms or something. Let me think about it. But either way, let's just jump to set number 1 and see what we end up doing. All right, let's sit back after all. After doing a couple feeler reps, things are moving around nicely. Now, if I thought my back was still a little bit cooked, well, then I'd give it another day. But I'll probably splice in a little bit of rear delts as well. I'm gonna hit some more shoulders this off season. Not like insane, but I do want my shoulders I want everything to broaden up. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say. So with this pull down, 2 plates and a 25 on either side is about as much as I can handle. All right. All right. Holy crap. One more like that. I might actually have to go a little bit lighter for the next one. Whew. That's good. All right. All right. Oh, okay. All right, one more, but I gotta take a 25 off. That is too much. I mean, it's good, but I just can't freaking handle it. Yeah, just 2 plates for this one. I don't know how heavy I'll be able to go peak off-season strength, but this is a really heavy machine anyway, because 1 plate loaded on the end feels like 1.5 over here. just because the lever action. But after this, let's do something a little quicker paced. Okay. All right, those three are good. Let's grab something else. All right, some close grip rows will be good. So those were very controlled squeezing, holding. I'm still gonna get a good squeeze at the top of every rep on basically every kind of set. I do want a moment of oomph, but I'm not gonna hold it here. This is gonna be a little more pumpish. One more of those just like that. Yeah, that's a good feeling. Okay, let's move on. Let's do a basic pull down next. That'll be a good little change up. Okay. Okay. All right, this is gonna be a little bit of a superset finisher. Neutral grip pull downs, same weight as this last set of regular pull downs. And then I'm gonna jump over onto the that row that I just did. A little lighter. All right, come on. Come on. Okay. All right. I think that's all. Let's see how back's looking. All right. So what was that total? 3 sets of machine pull downs, 2 sets of cable rows, 2 sets of pullovers. Oh, wait, I wasn't even counting. 3 machine pull downs, 2 seated cable rows, so 5, and then 2 pull downs, 1 with a superset. Yeah, that's 7 sets ish. That's within the sweet spot, you know. That's within the what is it? That's within the proper Z depth to hit diamonds, you know. If I did 8 sets, I think it would still be a good workout. If I did 6 sets, I think it would still be a good workout. But 7's cool with freaking me. So let's see how back is looking pumped up. Yeah, we still got a little Christmas tree action. Let's let the pose speak for itself. But I'm feeling pretty wide. That is for sure. There we go, right in the middle. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's quite the back pump, I would say. So, for a 238 pounder, that feels pretty freaking wide. Like, even just looking from the front, not even doing like a proper vacuum or anything. But yeah, my lats are jutting out. So that's what I want to see. Like, especially even in like a full-on front lat spread. Like I'm trying to fill this elbow gap with lat from the back. Literally from the back. But let's get home, have a little post-lift freaking discussion before I get a meal in. I am fiending. All right. I got a bunch of older like Q&A posts, and I can never answer them all. So let's pick one specific comment. And this guy asked a good question. YTD something or other, a bunch of numbers, says, who else wants to bulk but doesn't want to cut because of the fat that you'll gain during an off season? That's legit, man. That's pretty freaking classic. Honestly, that's probably the conundrum of bulking, beyond just the fact that some people have a hard time even eating enough food. Those are essentially the 2 problems. Either you have a hard time putting down enough food to grow, or you just don't want to, because then you're going to have a little extra body fat to lose later on. And part of that is a little bit just the deal. You know, that's kind of how it's going to be. I am not going to look as lean and peeled in, even in just like a few weeks than I am right now. Definitely not the same as like, show ready. So that's the most pretty much insane state I can be in, leanness wise. And now I got to put on some body fat if I want to grow. It's like, well, what the heck's up with that, right? But it's kind of just part of the game, A, B, C, right? You can't get straight to that cut look with that B, the bulk, in the middle, So the way I look at that is, okay, assuming I do want to grow, let's say that's assumption number 1, well, that means that I probably do want to eat enough food to recover from my training and get bigger and get stronger and keep going and, just have a proper bulk. Now, there's a few other assumptions. I also don't want to get too soft. For one, visually, not as cool, but also I got to diet down and get that body fat off later. Right? So that's assumption number 2. So assuming those 2 states, or those 2, let's just say facts, what can I do? What can I do to help mitigate my fat gain, but still have a proper, legit bulk where I'll grow and with a little bit of a dieting phase afterwards, I'll be bigger and leaner at the end of these two kind of phases. So I'm going to do everything I can to help mitigate fat gain and maximize muscle gain. Now, the maximizing muscle gain is kind of already just from eating. You're eating enough food, you're training hard, you're recovering well, you're taking a rest day when necessary, right? When necessary, not when unnecessary. And just frankly, you're bringing it, you know? So that's kind of the easy part. The not getting so soft part is where it starts to feel a little bit more like a chore. Dieting wise, like I said on the way to the gym, same thing. You got to increase your calories gradually over time so that you continue to gain weight at a proper rate, which, I mean, there's no cut and dry rule. You know, if you're gaining a steady pound a week, that's a solid off season. If you're gaining 3 pounds a week, how many pounds of that is body fat? You know, I'd just be curious, right? So, you know, look in the mirror, make sure you're not getting too soft too quick, but the scale is increasing. So other than that, you've got one more tool at your disposal, which is going to help reduce your likelihood of just storing all these extra calories as body fat. And it's something that I talk about a lot. It's something that I'm a pretty strong proponent for. Cardio in a bulk, cardio in a diet. Certainly not as much in a bulk. Like, I'm not doing 2 hours a day, but 30 minutes a day minimum. And I think I might increase that. Like, especially, I mean, you know, I'm kind of hyper exposed to it, but when I do 30 minutes on the bike now, after coming from 2 hours a day, and it wasn't 2 hours a day for that entire prep, it was mostly 45 minutes twice a day, and then I had about a month where I was doing 2 hours, but still, having 2 hours, you know, an hour and a half of cardio per day be the baseline, now 30 minutes gets done like nothing. And you can make it even extra easy on yourself by getting a cardio bike somewhere. You know, it's a really fancy, like, commercial cardio bike with like the screen and the matrix stuff. It's crazy how expensive they are. Like, there's cardio bikes out there, 5 G's a piece. You know, that's like 2 Camrys just for one little bike. But there's also a bunch of just Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace cardio machines, because people think that they want to do cardio, and then they get the machine, they put it in their basement or their garage, and they start hanging clothes up on it, and then they never touch it again. I've seen cardio bikes just on the side of the street. Do they work? I'm not totally sure, because if it's got electronics in it, then it might be kind of trashed. But the ones where it's just like a plastic like brake on the metal disc kind of situation, there's no electronics necessary. I mean, the only tricky part would be just being able to move it. You know, do you have a buddy who's got a truck or something? And then you don't have to drive to the gym to do your cardio. You've got the machine right there, you know. So unless you are cool with doing your cardio post-workout, which I'm becoming much more open to, because this whole prep I was doing an hour in the morning, or no, I was doing an hour of cardio after my morning workout, like immediately after, and then a separate cardio session later. So I'm not so stingy about when the cardio gets done, as long as you get, you know, your 30 minutes, your however many minutes per day. So if you have a machine in your garage or in your basement or whatever, well, now you don't have to drive to the gym. Now it's right there. A really good routine is if you can wake up and instantly have a little pre-cardio cocktail of your choosing ready to go. So for me, that's having like a liter of water with some electrolytes, some caffeine, whether that's like mixing in an energy drink or having like I'll even do a little bit of pre-workout before cardio. Not like a full 300 milligrams of caffeine scoop, but, you know, 150 milligrams. What's that, the equivalent of like 2 cups of, yeah, I know that guy. But just, you know, some caffeine just pre-cardio so you're, you know, up and moving. And then jump into the basement, the garage, whatever, and start pedaling. The quicker you can do that, the quicker your cardio is done, and then the easier it is to just have that in your routine. Plus, I mean, let's be real, how much time, like, open up your settings and look at your phone's screen time. How much time are you just sitting on your phone anyway, right? We've got time to just sit. I don't think it's so tricky to sit and play on my phone whilst pedaling and getting my cardio done at the same time. If anything, it makes the cardio easier. Like when I'm at the gym and I see somebody pedaling next to me and they don't, no cardio, or they got no phone, they've got no headphones in, they're just raw dogging 30 minutes on the bike. I don't know. I don't get it. You're not going to catch me just sitting on the treadmill, vibing. Right? I'm trying to distract myself, either watch a movie or a show, or just go down like some kind of rabbit hole, or even just scroll on Instagram and watch TikToks and stuff. Like before you know it, that 30 minutes is over. And if you're eating a bunch of food because you're trying to grow, the more active you are, aka having some more energy expenditure, having some cardio in your day, well, for one, it's going to prevent you from storing so much body fat. But I think it helps your bulk anyway, because it's going to increase your baseline metabolism. Think about when a crocodile in some section of the world, maybe in Alabama, I don't know, somewhere where it gets super freaking cold, this crocodile is going to sit and just basically stick his nose out of the water, and the water around him is going to freeze. So he's not eating anything, but his metabolism slows way down. His heart rate slows down. He's just not doing anything. So he doesn't burn a lot of his internal energy stores. So, 3 months pass, the water cools and thaws, and then he wakes up and he's freaking golden. He starts moving around more, and then he's got to eat more food to accommodate for that, So the more active you are, the more food you need to eat. The more food you eat, the easier it is, I think, to grow and train hard and really recover. So it just kind of turns into this feedback loop, right? And even just from training in general, like if your training intensity is solid, well, for one, your training is going to burn calories. It's still activity in the day. And when you couple that with 30 minutes of cardio, now you've given your body this need for rest, food, and hydration. I was just saying this yesterday. I'm sure I could come up with a cooler, not gimmicky, but quippy way to say it. But the harder you train, the hungrier you'll be, the more you're going to drink water to kind of replenish your electrolytes and fluids, and then the more tired you're going to be, so you're going to sleep better, and then you're going to recover well from that whole setup, being as it was, and you'll wake up fresher the next day, bring it even harder, and then the cycle just continues, So if there's one catalyst of the trifecta of gym progress, training, eating, sleeping, I think the training is number one. You're never going to sleep your way into gains, because you need your training to actually induce that kind of recovery need. And then your hydration, your food, your rest will kind of accommodate that and play into it well, So just a thought, just a freaking thought. But yeah, plan for tomorrow is going to be some arms, and I think I'm going to switch it up. Historically, I've really liked doing tries before buys. I don't remember who I heard it from. I don't think I heard Jay Cutler say this, but some bodybuilder in some video I remember seeing say, you got to try it before you buy it. Triceps before biceps. And something about that just kind of clicked with me. But every time I do buys before tries, I feel like I just get way more pumped. So I'll just go back and forth. But I definitely think tomorrow is going to be biceps first, triceps second, and then I got to remember to bring a measuring tape. I'll bust out the measuring tape so I can see what this initial arm circumference measurement is, because I really want to beat it lift by lift by lift by lift, even if it's only by 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch. I always want my arms pumps to be a little bit more than the last time. In the off season, of course. I don't really measure my arms much when I'm dieting, just because it's not very hype inducing. It's like, ooh, my arms are 1/2 an inch smaller than they were last month. Sweet. That's where I care a little more about the visual than the actual quantitative measurement. But yeah, now that it's getting warm, I bet the fish are waking up. I haven't caught a fish for months. Yeah, that'll be cool. Ooh, I'm gonna have to move all my like little tackle box and stuff. In the Camry, I just leave all my fishing gear sitting in the trunk. I'm gonna have to transfer it over. Yeah, throw the stuff in the back. That'll be freaking perfect. But yeah, nothing else to say. Solid back day. Feeling maybe not white as a house, but we're getting there. And then yeah, that's pretty much all. So I'm gonna edit this thing together, get my cardio done, and I got that pedal replacement. But now I realize that the cardio bike's like little pedal arm, the threads on the inside are stripped. So now I need to order a different piece. Ugh. If I just screwed it in the right way in the beginning, it would be totally solid. But yeah, nothing else to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this sunny day. And I'll freaking see you for some arms tomorrow.